Today in Awesome Stories, we are going to talk about an American horror film called As Above, So Below. Spoilers ahead. We start with a girl going into a border trying to enter Iran illegally. A man warns her that if she's caught, she's going to have difficulties with the authorities. He takes her through a tunnel into the city, trying to avoid the military patrolling the streets. The man wants her to go back, but she's insistent in her quest. They get to a rock with ancient scriptures and she starts destroying it with a hammer. She enters a cave where she sees the rose key where she scans the markings. The man tells her that the military will destroy the place and she should hurry up. After filming everything, she gets out of the cave and sees a dead man hanging from the ceiling. The place starts being bombed while she's running, barely escaping the explosions. Scarlett Marlowe is a professor at University College in London with a PhD in symbology, archaeology, and chemistry. She's also fluent in 6 different languages, including 2 dead ones. She's being interviewed by Benji, a documentarian creating a film about Scarlett and her journey. Scarlett is searching for the Philosopher's Stone, a search that was also made by her father, who ended up killing himself. The Philosopher's Stone is a legendary alchemical substance capable of turning base metals into gold or silver and grant eternal life, discovered by Nicholas Flamel. Scarlett found the clues to create the stone using arcane symbols carved into a tombstone, but she needs an Aramaic translator to help transcribe what she found in the cave. She breaks into a church looking for George, who has a hobby of breaking into historical places and fixing things. After she tells him she found the rose key, he gets interested and tells her he will help her. They go to a museum and George helps her translate the Flameless headstone, which contains a riddle that leads them 370 feet underneath the streets of Paris. After going to a tour in the catacombs of Paris, a man tells them where to find a guide to take them into the off-limit places of the catacombs. In a bar, they locate Papillon, who will take them provided that he can keep half of everything they find down there. In the morning, they prepare themselves to enter the catacombs and meet Papillon's girlfriend Sauxi and his friend Zed. Zed tells Benji that the catacombs have many dangers that can kill them, like running out of water or battery for the flashlights. They go through a fence and enter an abandoned rail tunnel and prepare themselves to go in. Suddenly, a policeman tackles Papillon, prompting the group to run into the cave. After the struggle, George tries to compose himself since he doesn't like caves and doesn't want to be there. As they get deeper into the tunnels, George complains that he should have worn boots since the tunnels are filled with water. Papillon finds hot candles and warns there's people in the tunnels with them. They find a group of female cultists singing surrounded by candles. Once they get to the bifurcation, Papillon and Scarlett disagree on the path that they should take, since Scarlett wants to save time. Papillon says that one of his friends who lived in the tunnels once went into the wrong path and never came back. He shows them how they will crawl through human bones and avoid the rats on the passage. Benji gets claustrophobic and feels stuck while crawling. The passage starts collapsing, making Benji desperately force himself out of it, barely escaping being buried under the rocks. Papillon seems confused and realizes that somehow they loop around to where they were before. Since they don't have another path, they enter a tunnel that leaves Papillon worried since he's afraid of it. Walking through the tunnel, they see a wall with one of Papillon's symbols graffitied on it, but he doesn't recognize it. Suddenly, a phone rings in the distance and Papillon tells them that phone companies used to run phone lines through the tunnels, but they were removed 50 years ago. When they find a piano, George tells them when he used to have one with a broken key. He tries to play a song, but the piano is broken like the one he had, leaving him confused. Scarlett runs to the sound of the phone's ring and answers the call. On the other side of the line, she hears a man asking her why she won't talk to him, making her end the call. Suddenly, Latop, the friend that Papillon thought was dead, shows up and tells them they shouldn't be there. He guides them through the tunnels and they run as the ceiling starts to crack. Latop tells them that the only way out is down, leading them to a hole. While they are climbing down, Benji's equipment fails and he almost falls, hurting his hands on the ropes. Scarlett bandages his hands and they keep moving forward. While in the tunnel, the group hears a loud noise coming from the walls and Zed sees a kid that disappears when the noise stops. They get to a dead end and George sees a symbol of an eagle, leading Scarlet to figure that the place is a Tolmeakinj, where removing the right stone can open a secret catacomb. Scarlet and George decipher the riddle and remove the stone, making a tunnel appear on the wall. On the other side, they see a preserved knight's corpse laid down. Scarlet reads an ancient message on the wall and figures out that she was to go deeper to find the Philosopher's Stone. They turn off the lights and notice a light coming from a pool of water. Scarlet enters the pool and finds loose stones on the bottom, blocking a passage underneath the place. She dives to the other side and sees a gold treasure and a wall with Egyptian symbols. While the others are collecting the gold, Scarlet takes the Philosopher's Stone from the wall. She realizes that the treasure is a trap, but it's too late since the ceiling collapses on the group. Sauxi badly hurts her arm and Latop is buried under the rocks. Testing the Philosopher's Stone's legend, Scarlet uses it to cure Sauxi's arm. Trying to leave the place, the group starts looking for clues on the walls and they find some symbols. Using the message on the wall, Scarlet finds a tunnel hidden on the floor and the group uses it to climb down. They find a passage below and George translates the writing on the entry that's the gate from hell. The group goes in anyway and finds a room that's an upside-down reflection of the room they just left. They also see that the entrance is no longer there, making Papillon question if they are dead. The group dives and goes to the other side, but the light on their head stops working. Sauxi sees a catatonic Latop in the dark and tries calling for him. Suddenly, Latop attacks her, smashing her head against the ground and kills her. Papillon begs Scarlet to use the stone and bring her back, but she's already gone. They keep crawling down a passage and get to the room with the riddle when Scarlet sees a loose hanging from the ceiling. They keep going deeper when a man's voice calls for her. Benji prepares himself to go down when a little girl shows up behind him. He starts looking for who's behind him when a cultist appears and pushes him down the hole, killing him. While they're crawling through the human bones, George sees his brother buried in the floor calling for him, but Scarlet helps him understand that what he's seeing is not real. They leave the passage and see a burning car with Papillon's brother inside. Papillon's pulled into the car and sinks into the floor, leaving just his legs outside. They try to pull him out, but he dies suffocated. As they continue, they see apparitions of terrifying spirits and demons. Statues in the wall come to life, and one violently attacks George, slicing into his throat. George murmurs, "Vitriol," another riddle from earlier, and Scarlet realizes the flame of stone itself is yet another trap. Only by returning it will she find the real stone. As she races back to the crypt, she sees the same man who hanged himself as she saw in Iran, and recognizes him as her father. After nearly being drowned in a trench of blood by an unseen force, she returns to the crypt and finds a polished mirror, which is when she realizes she has the magical abilities of the stone. She returns to George, kissing him to heal him. They get to a deep hole on the ground and think how to get down since they don't have any ropes. Scarlet explains they must confront their torments, as this place provides an alternate form of reality to make them realize their wrongdoings. They first believe there is no logical way of surviving the fall, but Scarlet insists they will live if they admit their faults. George says when his brother drowned, he felt guilty because he was lost looking for help. Zed admits to having a son that he denies. They find and jump down a deep hole. At the bottom, they see the hole is no longer there. Eventually, the trio find a manhole on the floor, which when pushed down delivers them right side up onto the surface. Scarlet and George hold each other while Zed walks away, finally safe. At the end, an interview with Scarlet is played, in which she says she never saw treasure, only the truth. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like. It really